Yesterday we were learning about the vitamin D and its analogs, and also the vitamin A we have just learned. So now we are yet to continue about the vitamin D and its metabolite. The cholecalciferol, or it's also known as the vitamin D3, is produced commercially by the irradiation of the cod liver and other fish liver oils. So we know it very well, and of course it is the source of the vitamin A also. So it is used in the prevention and treatment of the hypothyroidism, rickets, and the osteomalacia. So the ergo calciferol, or the vitamin D2, or the vitamin D2, it's a synonym, and the chemically pharmacology of ergosterol is similar to that of the cholecalciferol, and but it is little bit changed, that it is bioavailability is low due to the lesser absorption than that of the vitamin D and the D3. Then here you can see that the dose in case of this dogs and cats is 500 to 2000 international units, just like vitamin A. So only few of the drugs are expressed in international units. The number one is the penicillin, especially penicillin G sodium or the potassium, and also the vitamin A and vitamin D. So these are all, and among the hormones, the oxytocin is measured in international units. So the calcitrol is this 1,2,5 dihydrocholecalciferol, actually the hormonally active form of the vitamin D. So it's available commercially for both oral and the parenteral administration. So it is one of the brand name of this Roche calcitriol 0.25 microgram is the availability. That's the human preparation. And of course, the dog preparations are also available. It is rapid onset of the action. Then it does not require further activation by the kidneys like the earlier drugs. So this is calcitrol acts in concern with the parathyroid hormone, and all of three of these are action, and the calcitrol is metabolized to calcitroic acid through the action of 24-hydroxylase enzyme. Then the calcitrol is prescribed for the treatment of the hypocalcemia in case of the dogs, especially the rickets. Then many other drugs are also used in case of osteodystrophy chondrosa, whenever there is a bent leg of the dogs due to rickets is there available. And yes, of course, the dose in case of the cats and dogs is 0.03 to 0.06 milligram per day orally, and it may be given up to 1 week or not more than 1 week, and it should be decreased because all these are the fat soluble vitamins. Should be the dose should be very carefully monitored, or else they may cause the toxicity. So all these the paracetol, that's paracetamol, or the 1,2,5 dihydroxyvitamin B12. So they are all the synthetic analogs. So the synthetic analogs are a little more costlier than that of the naturally one, because the naturally available vitamin A and D3 maybe from the especially the cod liver oil of the fish are very cheap sources, but the synthetic are little bit costly, but they are very potently acting. So they are used to the hypothyroidism, and all these are used in case of the hypothyroidism, and also the treatment of psoriasis. So the treatment of psoriasis, a chronic autoimmune disease that appears on the skin, and of course the mechanism is not yet understood. So all these like DHT, dihydro, that's the dihydrotachysterol. So this is an analog of the vitamin D2 that is obtained synthetically from the D2. So the almost all these properties are similar, but it is having onset of the action very fast, and it has got a shorter half-life. So you can see that some of the injections, syrups, oral, this is a oral suspension, and especially in case of the growing pups, it is recommended sometimes. So calcifediol is also another preparation. Then synthetic analogs of this vitamin D. Many more analogs are available, like the alpha calcidol, that's the soft gel capsules. They are available as 1.25 microgram. So this is having the similar property, and the effect on the parathyroid hormone level and immune system is very much required. Then the vitamin E. So this vitamin E is one of the most important vitamins, especially in the reproductive of the farm animals. Vitamin A, D, E, K. Well, all the four vitamins play a very important role in the wound healing, then immunomodulation, and also the uh, other strength and vigor of the animals. So it's available as the Evion capsule. Then sometimes it's also available as Evion injections by the Merck pharmaceutical company. So coming to the a little detail about the vitamin, or they are also known as the tocopherols. So the vitamin E is important fat soluble vitamin, even though A and D are also having the important role, but the vitamin E is also essential vitamin. So vitamin E was applied to alpha tocopherol, and alcohol isolated from the wheat germ oil, and described as cofactor requiring for the improving the reproductive performance, especially in case of the cattle. So tocopherol means the word tokos, tokos meaning childbirth or the production in the Greek. So by that particular Greek terminology, this has arrived. And now the term vitamin E is used collectively for alpha tocopherol and other tocols or tocotrienol derivatives, especially the biologically active form of the alpha tocopherol is called as the vitamin E. So in vitamin E's nature is present in the most of the growing plants, cereals, and a mixture of various tocopherols are playing a very important role in the biology. And vitamin E is unique among the vitamins, that is, it acts primarily at the chemical level as an antioxidant. So most popular use of the vitamin E is an antioxidant. So the structure of this different vitamin E are there: saturated, unsaturated, tail. Then this is the structure of the beta tocopherol, then the gamma tocopherol, alpha, beta, gamma, and delta tocopherol are there, and they are converted to the respective hydroxyl moieties, that is alpha tocotrienol and beta and gamma tocotrienols. So they are the biologically active form. And both tocopherols and tocotrienols occur in the alpha, beta, gamma, and delta forms, but determined by the number of the position the methyl groups on the chromanol ring. So there are 8 different vitamin E forms known as alpha, beta, gamma, delta, tocopherol, and the same tocotrienols. So in the plants, the base of this compound is not animal origin, especially it is plant origin, whereas the vitamin D3 or vitamin D and A, it is totally animal origin, especially the cod liver oil. And out of all these naturally occurring tocopherols, the alpha tocopherol, that's the 578 trimethyl tocol, is considered to be most abundant and most important in the tocopherol. Then this is the mechanism of how this vitamin E is going to act on the especially on the body cells. So the bile and pancreatic secretions, especially they will act on the vitamin E, and there is an absorption of the ingested vitamin E in the form of chylomicron, that is the vitamin E. So the bile and pancreatic salts, they will bind with the vitamin E, and in the intestine they are absorbed in the combined form of the chylomicron vitamin E. Whereas these are converted to further, this is a complex moiety, then this particular chylomicron vitamin E is converted to vitamin E, and it is taken up by the liver, whereas the in presence of this HDL cholesterol, the vitamin E is circulating as the vitamin E lipoproteins, whereas some of the LPL or the fatty acids and vitamin E also diffuses to tissues, and they are deposited there. Especially the vitamin E is totally, it is uptaken by the liver, or else the free form E will be in the circulating lipoproteins. So this is the how this is taken up into the absorption and fate. Yes, vitamin E is absorbed from intestine by the mechanism probably similar to that of the other fat soluble vitamins. So it enters the bloodstream in the chylomicrons via the lymph. So here we have seen that it is going to enter the bloodstream via the lymph. Then it circulates in plasma in association with the 5 lipoprotein and is distributed to all the tissues. Whereas this vitamin E enters the cells by the process similar to that of the LDL uptake. So it is LDL uptake, and LDL uptake membrane receptor through the receptor mediated endocytosis appear to be responsible for the vitamin E uptake. The vitamin E is also stored in the tissues, mainly in liver and adipose tissues, and is excreted slowly in the bile and urine in case as metabolite. The urinary metabolites are the glucuronide or tocopherolic acid and lactone, and ultimately excreted through the urine. So this is the metabolism process of the vitamin E. Yes, of course, it is this is absorbed from the intestine, alpha tocopherol, then chylomicrons, especially secreted from the bile. They will be combined with alpha tocopherol, then they will be uptaken, then especially they will be circulated in the blood. This is the capillary, especially uptaken. Then later these will enter the enterohepatic circulation. Then in the liver they are going to be degraded to be LDL and once again the alpha tocopherol, whereas the later they are once again secreted back into the bile. Whereas the free vitamin E, which is absorbed into the circulation, will enter the tissues, and that this especially it is converted VLDL, very low density lipoproteins. So lipoproteins are broken down, then it will be also distributed as the fatty acids and later the alpha tocopherol. So the intestine plays an important role in the absorption, and later it's taken up into the active state. Whereas the absorption is also noted as the intestine, it is in the form of the alpha, beta, gamma and delta, as you have already known. Then all these will undergo the enterohepatic circulations. So later they are secreted as the metabolites in the urine and excreted out of the body. Whereas the physiological function of the vitamin E is very reactive and has many biological functions. So the important function of the vitamin E, so the most predominant function appears to be antioxidant in nature and makes the cell to fight against the different attacks of the hydrogen peroxide or nascent oxygen or any other toxins. So this is very important antioxidant and presumably prevents the oxidation of the essential cellular constituents or prevents the formation of the toxic oxidation of product. So this vitamin E is mainly from the plant source, and it prevents the oxidation of highly unsaturated fatty acids when they are exposed to molecular oxygen or nascent oxygen, what we call, and prolonging their biological effect, especially the unsaturated volatile fatty acids. So what happens in presence of the vitamin E? The quality of the unsaturated fatty acids in cells becomes diminished, causing abnormal structure and function of some of the cellular organelles as mitochondria or the lysosome and cell membranes. Then this is the function of this vitamin E. Please say what are all the functions? They are mentioned as the diagrammatic representation. So here mainly the small dash indicates the process of osteoclastogenesis. The dotted arrow indicates the anti-osteoporotic protetic action of the vitamin E, and the big dash indicates the inhibitory action of the vitamin C. So here, if we start action of the vitamin E, then this indicates the osteoporotic action. So what happens here is the inhibition of the COX-2 activity. So this is the cyclooxygenase activity, very similar to that of the this non-steroidal anti-inflammatory level, and because of this thing there is decreased PGE2 level, and because of this lipoxygenase pathway is inhibited, then this cyclooxygenase pathway is inhibited, then interleukin 1 level is also decreased. Inhibition of interleukin 1 mediated this action, especially the IL-1 mediate iron KL expression is decreased. So what happens is, because of this, ultimately it goes to the decrease of pro-inflammatory cytokines like interleukin 1 and prostaglandin E2. Then this is another thing is there is the RAN-KAL cells, especially RAN-KL expression, and this leads to induction of RNA-KL downstream signaling pathways. So then there is a induction of osteoclast formation. So osteoclasts are the one which are going to scavenge the excess bone grown or the osteoblastic cells. So the osteoclastogenesis occurs here, osteoclastogenesis. That means the bone eating capacity, in simple, very simple, the layman terms. So excessive bone during the bone healing, etc., they are eaten by the osteoclasts. Then this is mediated by especially the induction of antioxidant enzymes. So many of these enzymes are there. The antioxidant activity or the cell protective activity, whereas the acting as free radical scavengers. So whenever there is a free radical like the hydrogen peroxide or the nascent oxygen, they are going to have the damage on the cells, and this is mediated by the rapidly radical oxygen species like this H2O2 or the nascent oxygen. And there is a abolishment of downstream signaling with or without affecting the expression level of the signaling molecules, especially. And once again, there is decrease or the activity of certain anti-osteoclastogenic factors. That's why they are going to increase the osteoclastogenesis. That's one of the mechanism of action. So the antioxidant action of the vitamin E as equated with protection and stabilization of the cell membrane. So most of the human cells do have the cell membrane instead of the cell wall, and the cell membrane stability is very important, especially in case of the erythrocytes, maybe the bone cells, osteoblasts, osteoclasts, etc. The vitamin E prevents formation of the toxic oxidation products such as the free radical and the high peroxide from the unsaturated fatty acids. So the quinone moiety of the vitamin E is capable of the quenching free radicals such as the hydrogen, that is the hydrogen moiety, superoxide radicals like oxygen 2, then hydroxyl radical OH minus or plus, and the lipid derived radical species. Lipid derived radical species. So the course of its action, especially the action of this drug, is to protect the cell from the destruction from the scavenging cells and also the free radicals. So both of these are going to damage the cell, and the vitamin E sacrifices itself to fight with that of the free radical scavengers. So the decrease in peroxide formation of the unsaturated fatty acids also has the stabilizing property of the cell membranes. So the unsaturated fatty acids, they are the components of the cell membrane of the human cells or the animal cells, and the vitamin E plays an important role here as an antioxidant. Then in addition to the antioxidant actions, the vitamin E, that's the number one action, antioxidant action. Whereas the vitamin C is reported to potentiate the immune mechanism of the body. especially during this COVID-19 and other things. So the vitamin C and the vitamin E capsules are given to all to increase the vital capacity of the body, especially to fight against the pathogenic organisms like the COVID-19 virus. So the vitamin E also useful in enhancing the absorption of the vitamin A from the GI tract and thus elevating its concentration in liver and the other tissues. So this is also the another action which is added to the earlier action, especially the uh, free radical scavenging antagonism, then it is reported to potentiate the immune mechanism. So the antioxidant action is one of the most important, and many times we attribute the herbal drug action to the antioxidation property. And vitamin E is also having regulatory effect on the enzymatic activities like the PKC and also effect on the gene expression of certain genera. And it plays a role in case of functions and inhibitions of the platelet aggregation, because whenever the platelets aggregate, then there is a formation of clump is done, then this may occlude the blood vessels and may be responsible for the necrosis of the respective blocked part. And the pharmacology of the vitamin E means the actual form of the vitamin E is alpha tocopherol. It is a methylated tocal. Then we have known about the chemistry. It's a yellow, viscous, odorless oil liquid. So it's oily, very, very oily. Then of course, it is obtained from wheat germ oil. So please remember that the source of the vitamin E is always vegetable in nature. That is the wheat germ oil, which is prepared synthetically. Later, it is synthetically. The main naturally occurring substance is the D-alpha tocopherol, and the principal compounds used commercially are D-alpha tocopherol, D-alpha tocopherol acetate, and D-alpha tocopherol succinate. So these are all the forms, different forms of the alpha tocopherol. So the vitamin E is mainly recommended for the prevention and treatment of various vitamin E deficiency conditions. So it is available as the alpha tocopherol. Alpha tocopherol, the another name is the vitamin E. And each ampule of this injection contains the alpha ultrafloxacin mesylate. That's the synthetic form. So it is often combined with the selenium. Always the vitamin E is combined with selenium for both prophylactic and therapeutic purpose. So we'll see why. So vitamin C is also available with vitamin A, D, and E. So these are all the combinations. So we can see that vitamin D displays no significant adverse effects even at very large doses, whereas the vitamin A and D3 are toxic when they are in the high concentration, whereas the vitamin E, it's not so having toxicity. So just one example, that 1 milligram of the alpha tocopherol acetate is equal to 1 IU of the vitamin E. That's a equivalent. So D-tocopherol acetate 1.36 and the succinate 1.21. Then the D-alpha tocopherol, that is 1.29, or D or delta units of the vitamin E. So please note the conversion formula also, international unit to that of the active form. Then coming to the vitamin K, this is available as the vitamin K phytoanadione injectable emulsions. It is available as the vitamin K injection. Then this is a neonatal injection concentration, 1 milligram per 0.5 ml or 0.5 milligram per ml. So that is the vitamin K. What is the role of vitamin K? Vitamin K, or K for coagulation. Always remember that K means actually coagulation spelling is either K or C. C is the correct one. So it is a group of naphthoquin compounds essentially required for the biosynthesis of several blood clotting factors. Whereas the vitamin K occurs in nature in two forms, that's vitamin K1 and vitamin K2. then a primary deficiency of the vitamin K in domestic animal does not occur under the normal conditions due to the availability of vitamin from the natural sources. So the always in case of the ruminants and also in case of the vegetarians, vitamin K is available from different plant conditions, and the natural sources also play a very important role in providing the vitamin K. That's why in case of the animals, naturally it is not occurring because abundant sources are there. Whereas the chemistry, it is available as 2-methyl 1,4-naphthalocquine derivatives. So all members of the vitamin K group, they share this methylated naphthalocquine ring. This is the methylated naphthalocquine ring, and very in aliphatic side chain. This is the aliphatic side chain, which is attached at the position 3. So this is vitamin K1 is also called as the phyloquinone. Vitamin K1, vitamin K2 is let's see, minaquinone, whereas the vitamin K3 is having the basic ring and it is called as the menadione. So you know that menadione, sodium bisulfate and trisulfate are very commonly used as the coagulants. There is a bleeding, etc. Then we are going to use this coagulant property of the vitamin K. Then phytomenadione, and phyloquinone or phylomenoquine are the 2-methyl 3-phytyl 1,4-naphthalocquinone. So it is side chain is changed here. 4 isoprenoid it is used, and one of which is the unsaturated one, and the vitamin K is present in plants, mainly concentrated in the chloroplast of the plant leaves. So the vitamin K, many times the deficiency occurs if the cows or the buffaloes continuously fed without any green grass on the raw and rough diets. Whereas the green leafy vegetables, the lucerne, horse chestnut leaves, etc., are the very good sources of the vitamin K1. Whereas the vitamin K2, it's called as the menoquinones. Whereas the vitamin K2 is not a single compound, but they are containing the complex series of varying lengths of the side chain. In case of vitamin K2, the phytyl side chain of vitamin K is replaced by a side chain containing 2 to 13 prenyl units. And the number of prenyl unit varies the liposity means the fat solubility of the different functions of the intestinal absorption. Then also after absorption, it need to be transported, then it need to be distributed throughout the body, and we have to see the availability of this vitamin K. Whereas these subunits of the vitamin K, that's K2, is synthesized by intestinal and ruminal bacteria, including the conversion of K1 to K2 by the bacteria in small intestine. And vitamin K2 is also derived from the rotted fish. See many times this vitamin K2, but nobody can take this or extract from the rotten fish because of the very bad hydrogen sulfide odor. So the mechanism of action is a little bit tough here, but we can understand like these clotting factors, like the prothrombin is converted to the other clotting factors like and the vitamin C and protein S. There is a complication. So we'll see the next thing so that we can understand the vitamin K metabolism. So usually what happens is the parent compound vitamin K1 is also known as the quinone. This is the quinone. Then the dietary vitamin K is the quinone form. Parent compound, this is the dietary vitamin K. And the quinone ring must be reduced into the quinol form to become the activated vitamin K1. So this enzyme is required, vitamin K phenol reductase, which is NADPH dependent phenol reductase. So it is converted to the active form of the vitamin K1, that is the phenol. And the enzyme carboxy epoxidase occurs, and epoxidation is done. Then once again it becomes inactive. That's the vitamin K1 2,3 epoxide and excreted through the urine. Whereas the inactive conjugate of this different coagulation factor like 2, 7, 9, and 10 are converted to active coagulate form. That's the 2, 7, 9, and 10. So then this is active with in the help of the particular enzyme, that's the gamma carboxylation of the glutamic acid residues. So the vitamin K is used as a coenzyme for the carboxylase oxidases to form the carboxyate glucose residues. And after it is combined with certain enzymes. Then what are all the physiological functions of vitamin K? Number one, unlike this vitamin A, it is required for the hepatic biosynthesis of the clotting factor. So varieties of the clotting factors are there. In the earlier classes, whenever we are studying the clotting drugs or anti-thrombotic drugs, etc., we have seen that the clotting factors are clotting factor 2, clotting factor 7, 9, and 10. And these are the one which play a very important role in the hemodynamic system on the mammalian body. So these are required for the blood coagulation, because if there is a wound or cut wound, immediately there is a lot of bleeding because of the capillaries which are in the skin, embedded in the skin. They will be cut and the blood will just serve. Just after maximum 1.5 to 2 minutes, the clump or the clot is formed and the bleeding will be arrested. So this is due to the important factor of the vitamin K. So the vitamin K primarily functions as cofactor for a microsomal enzyme system, that's the CYP450 system, that activates the precursor of the clotting factor. So the clotting factors are generated and the clot is formed so that the further bleeding is stopped. Then what are all the disorders of the vitamin K? So what happens many times, the deficiency of the vitamin K under natural condition occur, rarely in domestic animals, because of the high content of the vitamin K in most of the plants, because the large animals like the dogs and cats, they are the herbivores. Large animals like cattle and the sheep and goat. When compared to the cat and the cattle, they are the pure herbivores, whereas the cat and dog are not the herbivores and carnivores, where they are the omnivores. And substantial synthesis of the vitamin K is done by the microbes of the GI tract. The vitamin K deficiency in case of the animals may sometimes occurs with a long-term antimicrobial therapy, and that alters the intestinal microflora, because these are the ones which are going to synthesize the vitamin K and its precursors. And sometimes the liver disorders, then there is a syndrome called as the malabsorption syndrome, or the exposure to moldy sweet clover. So this is very important, because many times the fungus is going to attack the paddy or any other straws and causes the moldy sweet clover disease. So the anticoagulant rodenticide, especially warfarin, etc., they cause the bleeding disorders. So the high intake of the vitamin E may act as the vitamin K antagonist. So vitamin E and K, if they are combined together, there is a antagonism process, chemical antagonism. So there is a epistaxis, means the nasal bleeding. Then sometimes the hematuria. So there is a hematuria is due to so many factors. Number one is the there is a damage. If there is a damage in case of the kidney, then the capillaries may broken down, and the blood, fresh blood may come in case of the urine. Also, that's called as the hematuria. Then ecchymotic, see the thing, especially the hemorrhages in the different tissues, they will exhibit. Whereas the gastrointestinal bleeding and post-operative hemorrhages are very common. And the dietary requirement of the vitamin K from many animals is difficult to establish because it depends upon so many factors like the synthesis of vitamin by the vitamin microflora or the intestinal bacteria or microflora, then exposure to green plants. So this will take care of the vitamin K content of the body. The birds, especially the birds, when compared to the other mammals, they do have very high requirement of the vitamin K, while the ruminants do not need the external source. So, unless otherwise, there is the natural vitamin K is synthesized in ruminants. So, if all these are deployed, then the toxicity may occur. Suppose the clotting factors. So suppose in case of the body, if more than 70% of the clotting factors are deprived or they are made to combine with that of the some of the naturally occurring substances, then the deficiency may occur. Whereas in case of cattle, this is more rare. Whereas in case of birds, it is more. Then coming to the pharmacology of the vitamin K, it is available as the injection from the source of the plant is the phytoenadione injectable emulsion. Then it is taken from some of the natural sources. So in case of the veterinary medicine, vitamin K is predominantly used as the hemostatic agent, especially in case of the oral anticoagulant rodenticides and the sweet clover poisoning. It is used as an antidote, physiological antidote, because in case of the oral anticoagulation rodenticides, suppose the animal has consumed the thing like the warfarin and vitamin K analogs, then we need to administer the Menadione sodium bisulfate or any other drug which can activate the clotting factors. And sweet clover poisoning also, there is deficiency of the clotting factors, and it is used very commonly. So coming to the classification, of course, we will do it very simple, like it is available naturally as phytomenadione. That's also called as the vitamin K1, the natural plant from the, that's the menadione, sodium bisulfate, etc. It's available, and its derivatives, the synthetic forms are also present. Then the menaquinones, like the vitamin K2 analogs, have limited use in the therapeutics. That's also one of the notable point. Yes, just. So the vitamin K is also responsible for the stimulation of the clotting factor, and the phytoenadione or the phytomenadione is very much required for the body for different body actions. So synthetic vitamin K compounds are the menadione sodium bisulfate is available in the marketed forms. Then coming to the agent's responsibility, especially the drugs which are having the different actions. The therapeutically also the vitamin K is used in just wait for So there is a classification you have seen now. You are sharing screen. Okay. When the synthetic vitamin K compounds, vitamin K synthetic compounds are there, then the synthetic, this is synthetic vitamin compounds. Synthetic compounds are this is very important, vanadium, sodium bisulfate. Vanadium, sodium bisulfate. So this is one of the important compound that is available naturally, and derivatives of the vanadium are the acetaminodium, what you are seeing in the screen, then vanadium sodium bisulfite, sulfite, so not the sulfate, and vanadium sodium diphosphate. These are the derivatives of the vanadium. So vanadium is the natural form of the vitamin K. Then coming to the first agents, that is the natural vitamin K. So it is also known as the phytovanadium. Or whenever there is a coagulative defective are there, then we are going to use. So these, please remember that the phytovanadium, phyto means plant origin. So vanadium, this is an important story of this particular drug is concerned. And the lipid soluble naturally occurring vitamin K, it is most commonly used in case of the vitamin K preparations in both humans and also in case of the veterinary practice is concerned. Hence, the phytovanadium is available especially as then only few slides are there. So in animals, phytovanadium is used mainly for the treatment and prevention of the bleeding disorders due to the overdose of the oral anticoagulant drugs. Example, the warfarin and coumarin. So warfarin and coumarins are very commonly used as the blood thinners, and many times they are used as the anticoagulant rodenticides. So because of this thing, we are going to administer the phytovanadions, which is available for the several formations for oral and parenteral administration. So after this IM injection, the phytovanadion is readily absorbed from the site of injections. So in the animals, phytovanadion is used mainly for the treatment and prevention of certain bleeding disorders due to the overdose of the oral anticoagulant drugs. So the phytovanadium is usually administered for 7 days in case of warfarin poisoning. There is a reason, I will explain it later, but treatment may need to be continued for several weeks because the anticoagulant rodenticides, whenever the clotting factors are totally exhausted, you need to supplement them once again because it takes a lot of time to rebuild the especially the anticoagulant rodenticides like the brodifacoum, bromadiolum, that's the Martin rat kill, and difenacum. These are the poisoning. In such poisoning, we need to use the vitamin K1, that's the phytovanadium injectable emulsions, which is available as 10 milligram per ml. So 1 ml per 10 kg body weight is required. And dose of vitamin K depends on the severity of the hypoprothrombinemia, especially in case of the animals. And prothrombin time or the prothrombin or clotting time is usually monitored for 2 days after the phytovanadium, and it is discontinued to detect the residual rodenticide activity. So in case of animals, phytovanadium is administered mainly by, in case of large animals, by injection, whereas in case of the other animals, it is oral, IM, or the subcutaneous route. So in case of the large animal subcutaneous injection, each dose should be divided and administered the multiple sites, because the absorption, of course, of this drug may be having different types depending upon the solubility and many more types. And sometimes whenever there is an emergency, we can administer this drug as the slow IV injection also, but the severe reactions like anaphylactic are sometimes occurring following its IV administration. So one need to be very careful while administering the drug IV. So the warfarin toxicity or the bromodiolone, it is the morphine rat kill is containing the bromodiolone. So this is not effective against the zinc phosphide deficiency, this toxicity, whereas it is effective against the anticoagulant rodenticide toxicity. Especially it is used as 2.5 milligram per kg per day, intramuscular or subcutaneous in divided doses for 1 to 3 days, followed by the oral administration. So the why this type of the dosage regimen is, it should be always the total dose. Suppose say 300 kg cow with 5 milligram per kg, 1500 milligram should be divided for 1 to 3 days, followed by the oral administration to maintain the blood concentration. So there is a, in the case of the whenever we are reading the anticoagulant rodenticide toxicity, we will once again we will refer the dose, etc. Whereas there is a severe bleeding, epistaxis, etc. in the initial treatment may be given by slow IV injection. But one need to be very careful because anaphylactic reactions may also occur. Whereas the IM or subcutaneous injections are always recommended, but they need to be divided in different doses because of the proper absorption process. Then another drug, that is the menatetraenon. So it is also known as the menaquinone 4. It's one of the several forms of the menaquine, usually referred as the vitamin K2. So vitamin K2 is also referred as menatetraenon. So it is reported to be the most potent form of the vitamin K2, menatetraenon. So it is shown efficiency in preventing bone resorption by inducing apoptosis of the osteoclasts and by the formation of the osteoclasts. So accordingly it is used as the hemostatic agents. So of course the vitamin E is also having the osteoclastic action. So this is the hemostatic agent and adjunctive therapy for the pain of the osteoporosis, especially in the case of the elderly ladies and the senior citizens. This is a very common process, the osteoporosis. So it occurs as the age advances because the bone scavenging property makes a lot of pain, especially bone induced pain is very difficult to treat using the regular NSAIDs. Then synthetic vitamin K, another 5 minutes. So it is our vitamin K is the synthetic form of the vitamin K, which does not have the aliphatic side chain. And it is about 3 times more. It is about 3 times more active, especially the drug. And especially these drugs are commonly used in the bleeding disorders. So bleeding disorders are very common in case of the different toxicities. Of course, there is a toxicity of the rodenticides, and these type of the rodenticide toxicity need to be treated with the natural form of the vitamin K. And of course, it is about the 3 time menadione. This is very commonly used, menadione sodium bisulfate, or menadione, or it's also known as menophthalmone. So, or the vitamin K, E3 is a synthetic form of the vitamin K, which does not have the aliphatic side chain. So the menadione is also called as the vitamin precursor or the provitamin. It is also called as the vitamin precursor or the provitamin, and hence it is lower. So the menadione is also called as the vitamin K precursor. So the chemical alkylation is going to occur in vivo. So a lot of derivatives of this vitamin K or the menadione are available commercially, and these include the lipid soluble derivatives of acetomenadione, or it's also called as acetomenotone. So water soluble derivatives of this menadium sodium bisulfite and menadium sodium diphosphate. And the MSV, it's a short form, and the limited stability to light, heat, and the humidity, and the ambient pH values above naturally is the presence of some of the salts. And menadione dimethyl pyrimidable, the bisulfate, and the menadione nicotinamide bisulfite are the other synthetic forms which have the higher stability but low solubility in case of the natural vitamin C. So the derivatives of this menadione are converted in the body to the active menadione. Then like parent compound, that's the menadione, lipid and water soluble derivatives of the menadione are not much useful in case of the acute oral anticoagulant toxicity. So the dose, this is somewhat common because the toxicity of the oral anticoagulants like bromodiolone, because these are put in the as a baits to kill the rats, but sometimes the dogs and cats they are going to eat. Then 2 to 10 milligram oral daily is required. In case of the horses and cattle, 100 to 400 milligram total dose is required. In poultry, 1 to 2 gram per ton of the feed is required. Then that's about the vitamins. The fat soluble vitamins are here, and we'll see some of the water soluble vitamins later. Please wait for me about we do have the seminars on of course on 30th of this month. We have got Dr. Suresh Basuraj is with us, will be with us. Then I will just show the slide. So on the coming, I think